Welcome to the Somewhat Frank podcast, hosted by me, Frank Gruber, and joined by my friends and colleagues, Jen Consalvo and John Guidos. This podcast explores the latest trends and advancements in technology and business, including emerging startups and how they shape today while looking forward towards the future. We also enjoy testing new gadgets and products and sharing our findings too, along with our favorite pop culture picks like music, books, and what we're streaming. This podcast is produced in collaboration with our company, Established. Ready to dive in? Time to be somewhat frank. Welcome back to episode 80 of Somewhat Frank Podcast. I'm your host, Somewhat Frank Gruber. Got a great episode today. We're talking about super aging. We're talking about Sam Altman taking on Elon Musk's Neuralink, and we've got Taylor Swift, who dropped a new album coming out soon. I've got drones finding new things out in the Amazon, and much, much more. So today I'm joined by Johnny Goodtimes Guidos and Simon Kahan. Welcome, gentlemen. We're missing Jen today, but thanks for joining today. How are we doing? Let's start off with Simon. You want to give a quick update, and then we'll go to John.
Yeah, absolutely. Nice to see y'all again. I'm doing great. Today marks the start of the new English Premier League soccer season. It starts in an hour and a half. And it's my favorite sport. It's my favorite league. My favorite team is Chelsea, and our first game is on Sunday. So I'm very excited. I'm sending all my good energy towards the players who don't know I exist. But I like to think that they play a little bit better if I have that space in my heart for them. So looking forward to that. But besides that, everything's going great.
Telepathically, you probably are communicating with them, so great job in sending them positive vibes, and we'll keep an eye out for that. And you bring that kind of international angle to the
Yeah, I could be the international correspondent here.
Yep, excellent. Johnny, what do you got? What's going on?
Well, we have some big news in our lives. It's been taking up a lot of time outside of work, and that's we're going to be moving. We bought a new house, so we're excited about that. And kind of newsworthy right now. We're going to be moving in a couple weeks, but right now there's a live golf tournament that's going on right now on the golf course that we're going to be living on. So that's pretty exciting. There's a lot of big turnout. They said up to 20,000 people are in the neighborhood and walking along with the golfers and checking out all the celebrities and everything that's going on over there. So that's pretty interesting going
That's
on in
pretty
our lives.
great. Exciting.
John, quick question. Do you get when you buy a house on a golf course, do they stipulate that like you might get hit with a golf ball from time to time? Like your property?
Good question. I mean, I know that it's in there, and it's considered in when you're getting evaluated or underwritten for your homeowner's insurance. But there is a number of HOA documents. I haven't scrutinized them by any means, but I'm sure something in there to that extent. But apparently, we're right on a good hole, on a good side where there's not a lot of golf. We talked to one of the neighbors, and I guess there's not a lot of golf balls that get hit over that way, so that should be okay.
Well, that's good news, and that's why they yell for, so we should be okay, right?
Yep, I guess. You just don't want to lose any shutters or anything like that getting hit by golf balls. So I understand Simon's concern, but we're on a nice little par three, so it's a nice little chipping area right outside our back porch. It's gonna be nice.
That's great. Are you gonna also still block out your Google Maps?
Yeah, I will. By the way, that came up during when we were applying for some financing or homeowners, one of the two. They look at pictures of your house and it's blurred out on Google Maps. So our current house. But yeah, I like the idea of being anonymous. So I like blurring it out on the Google Maps.
There you go. Yes, it's something to do, something new. All right, so that's great. Congrats. That's awesome. And looks like you're gonna have some fun activities in your backyard. So that's pretty fun to watch too. All right, so what have I been up to? I've been busy, obviously juggling Maine's in peak season right now. So I know it sounds probably trite because we probably talked about it a few times, but it's short. So we try to get it all in, and everyone's coming through town right now. So the last couple of weeks have been a blur with friends and family and all these different festivities happening. So trying to juggle that and keep the wheels turning on everything from the ventures side to the regular day-to-day kind of the consulting side. But anyway, I'm heading out to so we're absorbing it and I'm feeling it and it's been good. I've been in a routine of swimming. I swam every weekday for 3 weeks. So
Wow.
that's a lot. I don't think I swam that much since I was in high school. Which is crazy to think. So definitely seeing some physical changes, definitely feeling it every morning when I do it because I'm like, oh, this is gonna hurt. tomorrow, and then I do it again. So anyway, it's been good, but that ends pretty soon. So unfortunately, it's sad, but because we're not even through all the way through August yet. But anyway, going into August here, I'm heading to Fed Supernova in Austin, Texas. It's a big conference for like federal related contractors and innovators and things like that. So, speaking on a panel with folks from DARPA, and they're developing. They've kind of developed this engagement strategy over the last year or so to connect with innovators and find different ways to solve their, whatever the solutions they're trying to resolve. So, that'll be kind of interesting. And obviously, I'll be out in Austin, which is always fun, but it is going to be definitely a little bit of shocking. It's like 70s right now and like sunny, and there it's going to be like 95 or 97 every day, and hot, humid. So that'll be a shock for sure. All right, so looking forward to that. But hey, did you all? I mean, I don't know if you saw this or not on 12 12 12 12 12 12. Happens to be a very important day to in my family. It's got a little one's birthday, but it did you stay up at 12 12 to see what happened with Miss Taylor Swift?
Wait, what's going on with 1212?
Yeah, so Taylor Swift is releasing her 12th album, and she did an announcement on, I'm sorry, not 12/12, it was 8/12. 8/12 at 12/12.
That makes more sense.
Yeah, that makes more sense. Yeah, yeah. Sorry, I messed that up. But I got all the 12s. I just kept going with the 12s there. I was on a roll. But yeah, so basically on August 12th, she dropped at 12:12 in the morning, I guess. People stayed up to see what was happening. She announced her 12th album and then subsequently went on to, I think on the 13th, she was on the New Heights podcast, which is Travis Kelce and Jason Kelsey's podcast, which ultimately blew up YouTube. I think it brought YouTube down. It's had like 10 million views in the last day or so, a couple days. And it was a 2 hour and 4 minute interview. And they went, which is not normal for her to do those types of interviews, first off. And secondly, that's a really long one, but it was pretty good. Shared a lot. And actually, she unveiled the album with only 12 songs that'll be on it. And kind of a new way of launching. And I'm sure sold a lot of merch because she was selling CDs, cassettes, and vinyl.
Yeah, I believe she's in the past, she's like re-released different merch items, like different versions of her vinyl. And I mean, clearly she's really successful at it. I have no issue with Taylor Swift. I do have to air this really quick because I think the color scheme on the album, it's a little garish. It's a little garish. It's not for me. So I just wanted to put it out there.
It's the life of a showgirl, and apparently orange is the color. So that's I guess what they're going with.
Is that a showgirly? What is
I,
a showgirl? Like a Las Vegas, like Frank
yeah, a
Sinatra.
Las Vegas dancer. I guess it's got a bit of a Vegas glamoury mix in storytelling is kind of the deal with it because she wrote it while she was on tour for 2 years. She did the Eras tour, which had like, 2 years worth of stops all over the world. And yeah, so I think, being able to do that, she said she was flying to Sweden, like in between tour dates and flying to Sweden to meet with her producers and whatnot, and then flying back to wherever the tour was and wrote it in that amount of time. So kind of interesting to have a personal jet or two. That would be fun. Johnny, any thoughts?
You guys know a lot more about this than I do. I mean, I know that she announced she has a new album coming out, which is great. But other than that, and watching her on the New Heights podcast a little bit and seeing the clips, that's all I have. That's all I have about it. So
Come on, John, you're a big Swiftie. Don't be
yeah,
shy.
well, I mean, I like her old stuff when she was real young and she was a little bit more country. I know she's a little bit more pop these days, but I mean, I respect her for what she is. I mean, she's a big time artist out there. Obviously, I think she runs the whole music industry for the most part. So
Yeah, she's a baller, and she definitely is going to have more poppy. Like this is going to be a really like a. It's going to have some quote unquote bangers. That's what they kept saying. A lot of dance music on this album, and also just melodies that get stuck in your head. I think she's really good at that. Just she's gonna have us playing in our head on repeat, whether we like it or not. Is kind of what it sounds like. All right. So anyway, I thought that was just a fun little kickoff because I think we like to keep it somewhat light sometimes on Somewhat Frank. All right, so let's jump in. We've got some other topics here. This one's actually, you know, speaking of Taylor Swift, talking about stuff like that kind of keeps you mentally engaged, right? Like what's going on in the world. And anyway, there's an article in the New York Times about superagers, and I think it was covered at CNN as well. And what is a superager? Superager is an individual who maintains exceptional cognitive function well into their 80s and 90s. God, I hope that happens to me. And they basically are, they don't have the same memory loss and decline that others do. And the whole article kind of digests what their secrets are, and I think we've talked about this a little bit off and on in different ways, but this was a pretty good article about it. So really, the key factors are social connections, mental engagement, and lifetime learning, which is something I've believed in forever, and that's why typically I try to push myself to learn new things. I'm doing Duolingos, and I'm learning how to do musical stuff, and always taking on new things, right? So anyway, I think it's interesting, really interesting article if you haven't read it. And key takeaway is just, you know, continue to kind of like keep engaged, right? Even though your mental state or your physical state may start to decline and whatnot. So it's it's interesting. Definitely worth a read if you haven't checked it out yet.
Yeah, that's interesting. My grandmother's 89 this year. And she's great, but I had the opportunity to ask her last year, like, what's your mental age? Like, when you kind of think about yourself, there's sort of an age you prescribe.
Hmm.
Um, and for her, she's in her head still 60, which I found really sweet. And then she made a point to mention that, she's old, 89. But every day she's like trying to learn something new, which I really appreciate. I think she's learning like Mandarin right now.
Dude, she's living it. She's doing exactly what they're saying. She should have been in this
I
article.
know. We could have her on. I'm not sure she knows how to use a computer. I love you,
To
Natty, but
learn
I'm
it.
not sure she knows how to use a computer.
It's a new skill, lifetime learning.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I think I've expressed this in the podcast before, but I think once I'm 75, I'm good. I think I'm good to go. I don't know if I want to like remember everything so much.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm looking
I
forward
mean,
to the
I mean,
time.
75 could be the new, I don't know, 40.
Okay, 80. We'll call it 80.
I think we got a moving target. So it's hard to because with all the medical advances and things, and now you've got different. I mean, AI and is helping solve problems, and nanotechnology is helping solve problems. There could be, the numbers might not. We might not know what the number is going to be. That's like a good number. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I make a lot of my decisions based on like hypothetical future medical advancements. So maybe they'll solve everything. I don't know. We'll see.
That's a good way to live.
Simon, Simon, I understand your point, and I think it all has to do with, kind of like your, what do you call it, like your standard of living, or how well
Yeah.
you're doing in your life and how you're feeling and stuff like that. So, I mean, if you're still feeling good, looking good when you're 80, who knows at that point? So, but
Yeah.
I mean, I guess overstaying your welcome and living to be in pain and, old and not knowing who you are and your loved ones are, that could be tough. And
Yeah.
so I kind of understand what you're saying, but who knows? Hope for the best. Use some of these pointers and keep your cognitive function going until you're well into your hundreds.
There you go.
If I'm 89 if I live to 89, will you guys still have me on the podcast?
If we're still doing the podcast,
Still doing somewhat, right?
absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, assuming we're still around, right?
Yeah. We'll be a little older than y'all. So I think it'll be 100. So
Oh yeah.
No, come on.
I might be.
We're like 5 years apart.
Oh, right, right, right. So actually, funny start about what you just said about thinking you're in your 60s. I always pretend I'm 27. I don't know if probably sounds funny, but like that's how I feel like mentally. I'm like, okay, I'm 27. That's what I am. And maybe it's just like I'm like not too sharp or something, and I just believe it. I don't know. Like, and so you play to that, I guess, is what my point is. And so there is something to be said for that, for sure. All right, so moving along, Johnny, we got another topic. It's more on the tech side, so let's jump into that. I know this is a really interesting one.
Yeah, so Sam Altman recently has he's the what is he, the CEO of OpenAI. They're raising money for a new brain to computer interface. It's called Merge Labs, and it's going to be competing with Neuralink, which is a company that's run by Elon Musk. So I don't know. It seems like to be, not only is there a space race, but there's also a race to embed computer chips in people's brains for various reasons. So, I know that's pretty interesting. And it's also interesting that Sam Altman and Elon are at it again, competing with one another. They're definitely forward thinkers and, visionaries in their respective spaces.
It is crazy. It's science fiction for sure. And I don't know. Would you do it? Would you either of you be like, yeah, sign me up. I'm gonna be a guinea pig.
100%.
Really?
Yeah, 100%. I've actually thought about this a lot. Um, and I think it's one step closer to me being able to fly. It doesn't mean I'd fly, but I think it's an important step somehow. So I would do it. I don't know, John, what do you think? Would you do it?
I think it depends on how invasive it is. I mean, they got to remove a part of your skull to embed the chip, so I'm not too excited about that part of it. But if I was a paraplegic, for example, or somebody that really needed that help, I could understand the cost benefit analysis there. But I don't know. I'm just not quite set. I don't know. I think I may be a little bit more old school and not, I don't even like using my phone all day, and I'm stuck to it. So if I had my phone embedded in my brain, it'd be even worse, I think.
I just
That's
feel
all I
like
would do. I would just scroll Instagram Reels in my brain.
that's what I was gonna say. Are we just gonna death scroll till we die in our brains? Like seriously, like it's
Right.
just it's like yeah, it's like putting gas on a fire, right? Like I
Yeah,
don't know.
imagine if they start adding like advertisements too, and you don't pay for
Oh,
the subscription model, and so you get freaking Duolingo
You're,
advertisements.
you're literally getting advertised directly in the brain. Like that's
I
what they're
could see
hoping
that.
for. I'm
I
not.
could actually see that being the case. I think is really interesting and maybe this is just what I see online and my perspective, but with Sam Altman, Elon Musk, and Zuckerberg, and Jeff Bezos, and Sundar Pichai, I believe he's a Google guy, all of this stuff seems really personal. Like when Sam Altman invests in a cerebral thing like Merge Labs, Elon Musk took that really personally, and Mark Zuckerberg's been poaching a lot of OpenAI talent. And it just seems like maybe the pool is small enough with these guys and their tech and their companies that everything is really personal, and it's a small town in Silicon Valley. But I don't know. I just thought that was kind of interesting. Everything seems pretty vitriolic between them these days.
Yeah, it's like it feels like there's only like two or three people, right? Like, and there's actually a lot more, right? Doing kind of probably similar things. They just don't have the same. They don't get the same coverage when they do something. So, because yeah, but we see startups that are doing not quite what these guys are doing with this technology, but with other technologies that are, you know, similar, and they're just not getting. They don't get out immediately to make all the splashy headlines about it. So.
Yeah. And they're also not tweeting at each other. Like it's really interesting seeing two of the most like wealthiest, most advanced, smartest people, whatever, talk trash on Twitter. It's kind of funny.
Well, it's going to be interesting right now. I don't know if you all ever saw it, but back in a couple of years ago on the History Channel, there was a show called "The Men Who Built America," and it followed around Vanderbilt, Rockefeller, Andrew Carnegie, J.P. Morgan, Henry Ford, those kind of people, and it really did a nice job in how they showed how those people built America. I think we're right now, there's going to be another season of that where it's going to be those people. It's going to be Gates, Zuckerberg, Bezos, Elon Musk. Like we're in that period right now of um, building the world and that kind of race for AI and so it's kind of an interesting time that we're in. I've been thinking about that a lot lately. Like in my lifetime, all of the advances that have come. I mean, we're in a pretty, in my opinion, a pretty interesting time to be alive with everything that's going on, and we're all hyper connected these days, right? Like I can go on, X or whatever and ping somebody in China immediately. So it's the first time in history that things have been like that, and it's been relatively not a whole lot a long time we've been able to do those kinds of things. So pretty fascinating stuff.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I mean, it's like the things that are being worked on and solved or trying to be solved are like so futuristic and also like just big problems, right? Right? Like back like a few years ago or 10 years ago or 20 years ago, we were talking about like internet things and like websites and like, new then eventually new apps, right? And now we're talking about like, it's more serious things, I guess you could say as like the mainstream. And I think a little bit too is like I've noticed, a lot of it's turned into dual use, which is like, government use and civilian use. So I think that's the other thing that's kind of been interesting to watch is like there's a lot more people diving into that space and trying to create the next, product that will help, both of those two avenues. So, yeah, so this is interesting. I don't think I could do it. I don't think I could get my brain tapped like that. I think I would need another mode, like of some other way to kind of connect with it if that is possible. That's not connecting to my brain. I think that's just too like this is too much. It goes over the line for me anyway. So I don't know. Everyone's different, right? I don't want my brain getting tapped into. Although remember, I did get my brain lasered when I had a concussion. So I do, don't necessarily not do things around related to the brain. It's just this one seems a little bit more uh, permanent, I guess you could say.
Yeah, you were totally cool with the lasers, Frank. I'm just saying. I think it's not a huge leap just to like put a little. I still don't. I can't even fathom how it works, but I'm sure there's like little needles they put in your brain and stuff.
Well, that's what I wonder. Is it like a hole in your brain? Because I don't want that. But like if it was like just like I don't know, like a visor or something that reads brain activity or something. I don't know, something like that.
Yeah, it'll be cool if maybe while they're doing the surgery, they added like a little Ziploc bag in your brain, so like you can carry stuff around, like a little compartment back there. I think would be kind of neat.
Like behind your ear.
Yeah, just like zip.
Never thought of that before. That's quite innovative, Simon.
Yeah, I'll reach out to Sam.
Yep, give me the
Friends call
update.
Sam.
Appreciate that. All right, moving on. I think we're good on this one. Simon, you got another topic you brought up, and has to do with drones.
Yeah, absolutely. So for this topic, I found something that's actually really great news in the world of nature conservation. And I found a research paper that said that the University of Florida researchers identified the world's largest known nesting site for a threatened turtle species. So using drones and statistical modeling, they were able to find nesting sites for 41,000 giant South American river turtles along I'm going to butcher this, but along the Guapore River in the Amazon. And I thought this was really cool because there's a lot of examples where technological advancements in drones and imagery and statistical modeling can have a really great impact for conservation because a lot of the issues that we just don't know what we're building over or what we're getting rid of, especially in somewhere as biodiverse as the Amazon. So a few applications for this would be some of the obvious ones, right? Like wildlife monitoring. If you can identify species, count populations, track movements with drone imagery, it will reduce the time barrier, which just tagging all these animals, but also the logistical getting out into the field and capturing or tagging or tracking these animals themselves. So that's really great. There's a lot of cool applicable uses for this for like poaching prevention, habitat analysis. And I looked up online some examples of where this has been utilized and it's working. People are tracking the population of orangutans in Borneo, for example, using AI processes and drone footage. They're also doing this with illegal hunting for elephants, for ivory, and counting penguin sizes. So thought I'd bring this up. I think it's a really cool way that we can kind of add a bit more concrete evidence to what needs to be done for conservation. Because I think there's a lot of examples in the past of when we actually try to conserve animal populations, we can get it done. Bald eagle is one great example. And I think this is a great tool for that moving forward.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's interesting that it really opens up the door for finding things that are in plain sight. And I think it's pretty awesome that they were able to use drones and AI to do that. And there's a lot of untapped areas around the country and world. And I also started to think about the ocean. Like we haven't really done that very well, mapping it. I know we're trying to send people to Mars and all that, but like we still haven't figured out the ocean.
Yeah. Actually, I forgot to mention this, but there's this amazing nonprofit called the Ocean Cleanup. And they actually this year unveiled a drone they use that uses aerial imagery with some statistical modeling to identify where trash is floating in the ocean, like the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. And they released their findings with the trial run of it, and it was incredibly accurate and successful in identifying, where this stuff is, which has, a lot of environmental rules, at least in the U.S., kick into effect once you can prove there are endangered or vulnerable species. So even just identifying that they exist in certain locations adds a whole legal shield, I guess, for some of these animals in these environments.
Very cool. Good stuff. Johnny, you got anything?
That's just fascinating. I know that there's been advances in drone technology and LiDAR, for example, and peeling back the layers of the jungle so that we could find old civilizations. And this just sounds like another development in that space. And you guys all know I'm a big drone guy, so I'd love to fly one of those bad boys and see what there is out there.
Yeah, speaking of seeing what there is, we'll drop a link in there, but this is kind of funny. We got the convergence of drone technology and a main story that happened, a few days ago. More or less, there was, it's Jaws, the movie, its 50th anniversary. So it's been a big hit this summer. I feel like people have been rewatching Jaws, and there's a whole documentary about the making of that movie. And of course, a few days ago, over in Pine Point in Higgins Beach, which is out in Scarborough, Maine, not too far from where I'm at. It's the same water, just about 10, 15 miles away, up north a little bit more, closer to Portland. They cited a drone literally found a 10 to 12 foot great white shark just off the coast, like close to those beaches. And cited on I think it was August like 12th or 11th, and by a local fisherman named David Lancaster. So he uses his drone skills like yours, Johnny, to find this humongous great white, and it kind of circulated. It's been all over the news. It was on the USA Today and everywhere else. So we'll drop that link into the show notes, but definitely like a real life Jaws situation. It wasn't doing harm or anything. We know that the ocean is, filled with sharks and other fish, and so it just happened to be one that was kind of almost like basking nearby and got people's attention.
We should kill it.
No, 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 no,
Yeah,
no, 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 no.
no, we're killing that
Absolutely
thing.
no.
That thing has no business swimming around my.
No, 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 no. Sharks are okay as long as they're not right up next to the coast. And this one was an off coast quite a bit. So
I'm with Simon. Kill them all.
Kill
no,
them.
no, no, no. What
Frank, have
is
you
wrong
ever
with
had
you?
shark fin soup?
Two versus
No.
one, Frank.
Oh man, you guys, we're gonna have like PETA on our door here. But yeah, yeah. So anyway, there's a whole have you seen like Ocean Ramsey? Have you followed her?
Yep.
Oh my gosh, she's crazy but awesome. She's all about like conserving, it's similar to what you were just saying with the other. It's kind of funny, Simon, that you would say that because
I
you
know.
literally just were talking about
There's some animals that I cannot get behind. Shark's one of them. Shark might be the only one. Oh, and spiders. I don't like spiders.
Oh man,
What about
Anyway,
snakes?
snakes.
snakes I'm okay with.
Oh
Snakes I'm okay
Really?
with.
I don't
Yeah,
like
because you can kind of tell where they're gonna move, but with spiders, they can go in one of eight directions, kind of. So it's a little freaky.
You really thought through that. You're
Mhm.
right. So the situation though with Ocean Ramsey is and I found her a few years ago when we actually happened to be in Hawaii about 4 or 5 years ago, and she was actually diving out in Hawaii, and she's taken some magnificent photos. I think it's with her husband. He's like a huge photographer too. Anyway, so long story short, check her out. She's got like literally photos with swimming with like humongous great white sharks all over the world, and it's pretty phenomenal. And she's really led a movement to show, like, obviously the movie Jaws portrayed sharks kind of similar to what you just mentioned, Simon. Like, oh my God, get rid of them. And it created a movement where people were literally killing sharks for no reason because people were so scared of that movie. And
Yeah,
so she's kind of done the opposite and done a whole, has been pushing for the last several years to like on conservation of sharks and like and knowledge share about like the fact that they're okay. They're not going to hurt you necessarily. Um, anyway, so especially great whites. I mean, there's definitely sharks that can be a little bit tougher. Like I think bull sharks are not as well known, but they actually end up attacking a lot more. And I think there's a few others that are similar. So I think so anyway, it's interesting. I definitely we keep an eye out. I definitely I do not want to see one in the water when I'm like swimming. I think that's the last thing I want to do. And that's part of the reason I don't do ocean swimming. Like a lot of people I see like literally doing ocean open water swimming or whatever, and I can never do it because there's too many there's just too many fish out there. Um, okay, so AOL, you remember AOL? I worked there for a little while. Jen worked there for a while. Actually had hoped she was be on the pod today because I know this one's a little bit more on her sweet spot because she was there very early on. Anyway, so AOL dial-up was the first to get, a lot of people online. There were other kind of services too, but they ended up consolidating a bunch of them. So just got the memo that AOL dial-up is going to go out of service in September of this year. So it's going to be closer to, pivotal tech icon or pioneer, I guess, to bring everyone online. It was kind of a backbone of the early internet age. Obviously made pretty big headway, and then eventually others came in and we didn't need it with broadband, but they had already pivoted to other things. But long story short, the real point of this is, wow, that is some staying power. Like, that's been around since for a very long time, right? Like, we're now talking about dial-up going away, like, and it's 2025. Like, that's crazy.
That is crazy. There's some statistic, and I don't have the exact numbers, but there's a lot of Americans still who don't have access to internet or cell service.
I was thinking about it the other day. I'm in central Indiana, and I stopped. I was driving to visit my parents, and I stopped at a Starbucks, and a horse and buggy pulled up next to me. Like, we don't realize it as you sit in Brooklyn in your nice apartment, or in Maine, or in our regular lives, but there's still parts and pockets of this world where they're still years behind us, if by choice in some instances, like the Amish buggy. That's part of their culture and their religion. So, but
Yeah.
I mean, to your point, Simon, there are large. I think a lot of Africa is still not connected to the internet. So
Yeah,
it's interesting to think about.
it's I in like some yeah. I mean, I completely agree. I'm just trying to verbalize how I feel, because I feel bad a little bit that we're just moving on from an issue that some people haven't had the access to solve. We're just moving on to some crazier thing where, just in rural Vermont, there's a lot of people who don't have internet, or even some that don't have electricity. And yeah, that shouldn't exist in America. And so we should make sure everyone has access to those resources for sure.
Yeah, and my point for bringing it up is too, like, this is just, shows the staying power when you're first, early adopter. I mean, this was 34 years, started in 1991. 34 years is a long time for a service that, most folks haven't used dial-up in, at least 25 years, maybe 26, 27 years, right? So it's pretty wild to think about. But I do know when I was at AOL for a bit, when it was trying to bring like a lot of things online and become more, not bring them on, make them more like open, Web 2.0 kind of services versus within their own kind of walled garden. And so one of the things that was interesting is a lot of, even back then, like, people were paying for dial up and whatnot. It was a big cash cow, right? Like, people were paying because they were scared to disconnect, because they'd lose their email address or lose their data, and so people just kept paying. And I think that's actually what kept AOL around so long, was that there were just all these people still paying on repeat and didn't cancel. So really interesting interesting to watch, interesting model, because like there are probably services that are out there now that eventually will have a similar kind of staying power that AOL did. All right, so with that, I'm glad that we're not on dial-up anymore either, because this would be a very choppy episode.
Dial up, it's that one that makes that sound, right? I
Yep.
think. Yeah, I have some really, really early memory of my mom doing that. And
Yeah.
even back then, I was like, that seems like a pain. Yeah.
Well, it blocked your phone line. You had to use your phone line unless you had a second line, and it would block it. And so you get bumped. If someone called you on your home phone, it would knock you off, basically.
That sounds like a pain.
Yeah.
Let's move
Talk
away
about
from
frustration, right? These days when we're so reliant on it 24/7, it's kind of wild. Wild to think about. All right. With that, this has been your Somewhat Frank podcast. If you have anything you want to contact us about, you can reach out at somewhatfrank@est.us. We did get a couple of emails this last week or so, and appreciate all those that are reaching out. So please do continue to send those messages, interesting stories, weird news, random internet finds, or you just want to talk, please do reach out. As we look for, fun topics, cool guests, things like that to continue to bring to Somewhat Frank. And until then, stay curious, stay creative, and stay somewhat frank. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for listening to the Somewhat Frank podcast. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe and leave us a review. We love the feedback and are grateful to have you as a listener. Have a great day.